These are the remains of Batman, our first and born here on the property of our baby goats, our male. We named him Batman or Bruce Wayne. I always called him Bruce because he had what looked like the Batman symbol across his back. He was found dead in the morning of Shabbat, right after Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was a Thursday. The following week, so I'll have to look up what that date was. But he was fine the night before. He's been dead for 3 weeks. We had freezing temperatures, 30s and 20s, so he's been frozen solid most of this time. But as you see, he's a healthy body weight, and there was nothing wrong with him. And then the next morning, that Shabbat morning, I got up to feed the animals, and he was dead, which is commonly the case, either in the night, and I usually check on the animals one last time before I go to bed around 10, sometimes 11 o'clock at night. I do the rounds on the property, and he was fine when I saw him last the night before. And then the next morning when I got up to check on the animals, he was dead. Poison has been used quite often with some of the animals. Some of them we know for a fact absolutely it was poison. In this particular case, I have no way of knowing for certain. It wasn't a particularly cold night. He had proper shelter. And as you see, even after a week of dehydrating, a couple of weeks actually, of being able to let his bodily fluids dehydrate a bit so I can cremate him, he's still a very stout, healthy weight. So, and it's not bloating because you only get that in the warmer temperatures where the bacteria has a chance to grow. It's too cold for that. But just to say, this has been ongoing. Rocky Road, my favorite of all my goats, my heart. We raised him from a baby. He was a purebred Nubian. He was found dead Christmas morning. Again, the night before, it was about, I think, 12 o'clock at night was the latest I was out there to check on the animals. Being Christmas Eve, I was up pretty late. Not that I celebrate Christmas, but there's all kinds of interesting things to do. And before I went to bed, I checked on all the animals, and he was fine. I actually even gave them extra food and water before I went to bed because it was going to be a colder of the nights. I think that night was supposed to be at least 34 degrees. And so I took them extra food because the process of digesting helps the animals' body temperature stay up. It actually increases their body temperature by 10 degrees and maintains it during that digestive process. So even though it's very hard and harsh on my body, in the cold weather, I make sure I feed the animals at night because that way they're digesting through the night and they will have the extra heat and warmth for their bodies. Mama, I'm trying to think of Anita. She was killed prior to Bruce being killed Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving morning. No, she was killed Friday after Thanksgiving. She died at 12:58 p.m. I saw it on the video camera, her take her last breath and her lay down. I don't know what happened earlier that evening. I know she wasn't feeling well. I had gone and got animal feed and shopping and stuff like that. And I left around 3 in the afternoon. I got back around 5, maybe 6. And she was acting like she just wasn't feeling well. And also pacing around a lot. And I checked on her on the cameras in the night, and I actually physically watched her pass away. I watched her take her last breath and lay down and not move anymore after that. And the next morning, she was still in the same position. So I actually witnessed her passing. I would say I have no idea what the cause of her death was. It could have been poisoning that just took a few hours to work its way through her system and kill her, or, which has been the case with a couple of the animals, or she was an older goat and it could have been natural causes. One of the things about animals dying when it comes to the property is sometimes animals die, but not the number of animals and not as back to back to back and not as the way that they've been dying here. Their necks wrung, necks broken, an entire cage full of healthy animals of all different ages and sizes. All of a sudden, in a matter of a 2-hour span, all die. Things like that are natural. But I can't say 100% if Anita's death was natural or unnatural. Bruce, unnatural. Rocky Road, unnatural. He was my buck. He was my stud. He was strong and healthy and virile and in perfect condition when I left him the night before. So this is just another case, and I'm going to have to cremate him. Today is Shabbat, so I'm not going to touch him. It's forbidden to touch anything dead on Shabbat. But tomorrow, first thing in the morning, I already have the wood and stuff ready in the can. I'm going to put him down in there and cremate him. Now, in the case of natural deaths, I would cremate the animal and use the meat to feed the dogs. Between the three of them, that's over 200 pounds of meat. Rocky was about 120 pounds, Anita was 60 pounds, and this one is 30 pounds. So that's a lot of meat that could feed the dogs for a while. A human should never eat anything that's died. There's a specific way to clean and kill an animal if you're going to use it for eating. But it could be fed to the animals, cooked and fed to the animals, as long as it didn't die of anything contagious or poisoning. And in these particular cases, because poisoning is suspected and has been the case several times here on the property, I'm not going to risk the safety and well-being of my animals, even though this is a large amount of meat to be disposing of. That could have served a purpose versus the animal just being killed and a complete waste. But that is the circumstances at this time. And again, this is ongoing daily. The trespassing, the violating my privacy and my space, breaking and entering, stealing, vandalism, destroying property, killing the animals, animal cruelty, constantly hacking into my personal business and our nonprofit organizations, bank accounts, social media accounts, all of our online accounts, no matter what they are, including medical ones. Just you name it, it's been nonstop. And federal authorities are looking into the matters. They've contacted me and let me know that they are looking into matters. I have the person or persons, because there's more than one involved, my contact individuals that if I have additional information and additional videos and footage is what I've been sending them, and photographs and reports from the police that I send them. And but we need these people caught. It's as simple as that. Or shot. I don't care which. And personally, if I catch anything moving on my property, I'm going to shoot it. I'll deal with the consequences later because I'm tired of this shit. And what's their end game? You know, anybody going around killing animals, and they've been moving closer and closer to my trailer, my personal areas with the killing. What's their end game? I don't think there's a judge or jury on the face of this earth who wouldn't say, not only am I within my rights to protect and what I love and care about on my property, but self-protection. We don't know what these people are planning or what their end game is. So I have legitimate reason to stop them in their tracks. And if I could do it without it being fatal, that's fine. Injure them serious enough to where the police can come and arrest them. But that's a judgment call in the situation or in the instant. That may not be an option. But by whatever means necessary, I will protect myself. And I will stand my ground on my property. And it's a shame it has to come to this, but they're begging for it. And so, no matter how you slice it, this isn't going to end well. I've already reconciled that. But if it's me or you, it will always be you. That's just the way I'm designed and the way I've been trained my whole life. When the dust clears, I'll be the last thing standing.